right, it's the worship table, guys, and it's Mark, this is Michael, and this is Andy, and we're just going to talk a little bit today about how we define or redefine success, because obviously we've been in ministry for a long time, so over the journey of our seasons of ministry and through all that we've been a part of, I think it's an interesting topic to kind of talk about what we view as success now and what we would have viewed success being when we started out, you know, or maybe midway through all of what we've done, because I would say that I know it's changed for me, but I'm curious, like Andy, what did you consider success when you started out? Like when I first met you in Mississippi, and how old were you?
20.
20.
Yeah, it would have been 1987, I think.
You were 20.
Yeah, or 1986.
20, and you look 13.
Yeah.
You look like Michael J. Fox. I remember the first time we were all like, he looks like the Back to the Future guy.
Well, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe not so much today. I don't know. You know, when I've always felt the call of worship ministry on my life. I didn't know what to call that back in the 80s, you know, being part of a Southern Baptist church and leading the hymns every week. I didn't really consider that worship ministry, but there was an anointing on me that I couldn't describe back then that I recognized and felt. Maybe felt's a better word. Yeah. And maybe some other leaders around me at our church recognized and were like, hey, you're good at this. You should keep doing it. But I didn't choose that route right off the bat. And I think that's, you know, it just shows you God's hand in your life is, you know, that's always guiding you whether you know it or not. And but eventually after, 15 years of For Him, a dozen years of For Him, I was like, okay, I recognize what that is now. It is a call of worship leading on my life. And I led worship. You were there at Eastern Shore Christian Center.
Absolutely.
It was like on a Sunday night. Yeah. And I remember I'd been asked to lead worship that night. Yeah. And I reluctantly said yes. Yeah. And the Holy Spirit showed up. And I remember you and I both walked in the car going, yeah, this is probably what you should be doing long term, right?
Yeah. Was this pre-For Him or post-For Him?
This was in the middle of For Him. This was
Okay.
probably 96, 97 maybe.
It was really at a time when For Him was kind of at its apex.
Yeah.
I mean, we were touring and traveling. It was
wow.
And we all attended the same church in Daphne, Alabama, and Andy led worship. I remember. It's interesting because
it was a Sunday night. Yeah. Well, and so that started my journey on going, okay, let's explore what this is, get off the road eventually, become a worship pastor, help start a church with a friend of mine in Orlando in 2000. And here's where what really started the crossroads was for me, was success to me was what I knew of For Him, right? People are going to pay a ticket. They're going to pack out an auditorium to come see us, and that's your definition of success, is if people pay you good money to come hear you sing. Well, at my church, nobody came. I mean, here I am singing for free, and the doors are open, and hey, we're here in Orlando every Sunday morning at 10:30. You should show up like you did at the For Him concert the night before, and nobody was coming. And so that was a real internal battle for me of, wow, I must be a failure at this because no one wants to come hear me sing. Wow. Of course, it took me years to realize the difference between serving a church and being an artist that serves my own needs. Yeah. And so that was kind of the beginning of my road of redefining success as a worship pastor and in the success in worship, to where I'm still defining it today. I feel like I have a better grasp on it now than I did in 2001. Yeah. But for me, success was the biggest part of success for me was learning how it's not about me. Yeah. And we're going to cover that on a lot of these podcasts. It's not about me. And you have to work through that. Yeah. And when you're young, you're full of, you're full of energy and full of self-confidence, and you're going to take the world by storm. And everybody should love my music and my original songs. And, when you start defining that as success, well, you turn yourself into an artist. You're not a worship pastor much anymore. So I would just say, and we can expound on that further, but for me, that was the beginning of my redefining success.
Which I was right there with you. So, I mean, so much of that, I was right beside you. We were both serving, or we wouldn't call that serving and For Him. We were both two of the four guys and for him as the artist.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was our identity. Our identity was, do you like my music? Do you like our songs? Do you know what I mean? For me was, do you like the songs I write? You know, it was like, I mean, it was, you know, well, what about you, Mike? Because I mean, I heard a story earlier today that someone's like, you were singing as a 13-year-old in like at a mall or something. I mean, was it a Chuck E. Cheese pizza or something like that? Because
there's nothing that'll confuse somebody's calling more than entering a vocal competition as a Christian kid. Like we're gonna help you define success in your calling at the mall.
Was that second place? Was that a success to you, or was it first?
It was absolute failure.
Okay.
Abject failure. If you are not first, you're last.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a whole thing that I've worked out over the years, you know, competition and calling. Like, that competition is fun in games with your friends and on the golf course. It's not in your calling. So when you like are being evaluated and mixed up in kind of like competitions with singing, and you're called to be a worship pastor and a writer and all of that, and then you find yourself leading in a church, you got to kind of parse through that over time about what is actually happening. Because like for me, of course, you guys were a part of my journey of watching artists that were in front of me. Yeah. And because I had a musical gift as a little kid, like I could play and sing and hear stuff and play it back, and I would sing in church, and there was just something on it as a little kid. Yeah. And so what that turned into was like this kind of westernized mindset of, well, success looks like you making albums, you hitting the radio, you touring on a bus, and then you do it, rinse and repeat until that footprint is as big as it can possibly be. Yeah. I mean, so that measure of success was what I had in my mind as a even though I'm leading worship in college as I'm finishing my music degree, and so over time of a very short touring session work kind of career, being called into the local church, and then when you get into the local church, still having to parse out what is success really? What is success in this context? Yeah, really like. And we can say the right thing, but the internal dialogue, we can believe something completely different. Yeah. And we get twisted up and torn up about things when they don't. And so, I mean, there's a whole lots of stories in terms of me reframing my identity as I went through. And it was like I had to turn loose of some things, and going to the local church felt like it initially, like, I know I'm supposed to do this, but there's also like, am I quitting on the thing? I mean, like, never quit, We don't quit. We go after it. Am I quitting on the thing that I thought was going to be successful? Yeah. And then I get into the local church context, and I just start creating in my local context and serving in that local context. It was Christ Fellowship in Palm Beach. And God growing me and teaching me and working stuff out of me, and having little kids and learning the ambitious side of what I was wired up to do and make and produce. And I think when you're talking about, there is a season for building. Yeah. Like we have that energy for a reason, like to go after stuff and find the edges. Like, I think that's not a bad thing. It's just, it gets purified, and over time you realize, like I'm operating in my gift because I'm accepted and I'm loved, not to earn it. Yeah. I'm operating in my gift not to be affirmed, because I've already been affirmed. Yeah. I can be free to just do this. And what's so funny is when you kind of turn loose of all that, and I'm serving in my local church, and I thought, well, it's okay. It's for this. And you know who came through and grabbed some of those songs and passed them along? It was you. Oh, yeah. You remember that? You're a young worship pastor at Christ Fellowship. And you were there. Yeah, you were there. You came through. You guys came through for something, and then you had heard some songs that we did, and you said, hey, what? Yeah. And you passed them along, I think, at your brother. Integrity. Yeah, to Integrity Music. To Mike. Yeah. To Mike, and he was at Integrity at the time. They were looking for a guy to fill in for a worship leader artist of theirs that was backing out. And I stepped in. You stepped in at the last moment. At the last minute, and led a live record. For Integrity.
That's wild.
And I said, well, guys, these aren't any of my songs. Yeah. And they were like, so? And I said, well, and they agreed. I think I brought 2 of mine into that project last minute, and we put it together. And then that started this thing that the song started migrating out. But it just goes to show you now, after doing it for 25 years in local church, it feels like success has been reframed as like, I've heard it said, the ones who know me the best, respect and love me the most. And there's this sense of like my family and my freedom and calling in that, and then everything flows from that place. The ambition side, the shadow side of ambition has started to be worked out. And then you just get free to just,
I would say it almost has to be beat out of you.
Yeah, beat out. Where I say worked out, that's a nice way, but it's more like crushed out, maybe.
That's
like
right.
the crushing.
That's a biblical principle.
Yeah.
That there has to be a crushing and a breaking for God to resurrect that into what he wants it to be. And I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like we were on this, we had a similar experience where, here in For Him, we created the songs. Yeah. We recorded the songs. We toured the songs. We put our set list together every night.
Yeah.
We did what we felt like was best to do. But then we get into church situations where now we have people over us, right?
We do.
And we don't get
authority.
to do that. We're under authority, and we don't necessarily get to do what we want to do or do the songs we feel like we want to do that weekend. At some point you have to put yourself under authority, which you and I did not.
I was going to say, I want to be in that room. Like, those conversations, like, you're used to people like, you're an artist, you're rolling into town and people are taking care of you.
Yeah.
Like they're taking care of you. They want to be in the room, What drink do you want, Mr. Harris?
That's
and
right.
What do you need? And then you get in a role. What was that like? Like can you take us back to that?
Well, I
like
can tell
moment,
you, I can just tell you there were times, many times, where in a group setting with leaders, this was the song here. Okay, here that we've chosen the songs we're going to sing. Here's how we're going to do them. Here's how I want the service to go. And me with my experience, I'm going,
this isn't going to work.
It's not going to work. Or I have a better idea.
Yeah.
Should I push for it?
Yeah.
Do I want to be that guy that always has the better idea at the table? Because, you know what I used to do. Yeah. And they would acknowledge that as well. They'd go, sometimes it's hard to lead you because we know intrinsically you're looking at this going, this is not going to work. I know I know how to do this. And so there is you have to take a deep breath. Yeah. If you're going to learn to put yourself under authority, you have to take a deep breath in, let it out, and realize this is not about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the calling that you've accepted. And leadership works best when it's in the right authority line. Yeah. And if you constantly play that artist card of like, but I know this, but I do this, but this idea is going to be better because I'm the artist, is that you're still feeding self. Yeah. You're still feeding that ambition that should be broken out of you, that you don't really learn to become a pastor of people until you put yourself under authority, and you're leading people before the throne of God, not before the throne of Andy.
Yeah.
I'm leading people into the presence of Jesus through music, not into the presence of For Him.
Yeah.
And
there's a big difference.
There's a huge difference, and not that what we ever did in For Him was lost. Yeah. It was not frivolous. It was not something that God looked on and went, I don't like that at all. No, it's different. It's a totally different thing that just took for me a lot of time, and honestly a lot of sleepless nights just to go, this doesn't feel good at all. Yeah. But again, it's like any discipline. Yeah. It's like going to the gym.
You took a breath.
It's like
I love that.
Getting off sugar. It's like it's doing all these disciplines that that's right. You got to detox it. You get past a certain point, you're going to go, wow, I feel really great about this. This really works. And I'm in the best shape of my life spiritually when I put myself under authority. But here's a little secret, is that God always brings that back around. Mm-hmm. God will exalt you in the proper time, right? Humble yourself, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, into the proper time. Yeah. He will exalt you. He will put you. He will put you in the place where you're supposed to be. So you don't get to choose when that time is. Only God gets to choose it. And sometimes, especially for me, I will say this: it took a long time for me to be crushed there under putting myself under leadership. But man, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Wow. I think, guys, and I'm sitting here thinking, because success, like, we always hear, how do you measure success? It's hard to measure success as a worship pastor or someone who's fully submitted to Christ, because I had to throw away the ladder.
Yeah.
Like I had to kind of say, get that thing out of here. It's not about me climbing a ladder or getting to a certain title or position. I mean, because that's the way the world defines success.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the corporate structure of the world, and the church has a corporate structure, it's like, that's why so many guys that are worship pastors and worship leaders, they get into this cycle of thinking, well, if I can go from this church to this church, then to this church, and then be in this position at that church, it's like, because it's like, and sometimes it even becomes, it depends on how many people I oversee. Like, how big of a deal am I? And it's like, and I realize, man, it's like, if my identity is found in my title or where I am on the ladder, I have failed. And because the reality is, if you're called by God, there's a mantle on your life.
That's right.
That God uses to define you. And submission and being fully committed to that mantle is success. Because see, when I'm a young guy, and I mean, I think this is accurate for anybody. When you're young, I mean, when I was 16-year-old Mark in my mom and dad's living room, and they asked me to pull out my guitar to play Dallas Holmes' Here We Are for friends that came over from church, success for me was just making it through the whole song. It was like, because I would stop and go, oh, the wrong chord. It's a little awkward, but then all of a sudden, so back then that was success. But then as you kind of get involved in what God's called you to, the danger is the ladder, because it's like you can start using that as the measurement for success. And let me say, this always makes sense, the climb up. But when something happens and you get moved down, it's like, that's the crushing, because then all of a sudden it's like, and people, that's a test that comes, and I think that's one of the most difficult tests to pass, because it's like, that's when you have to find out who you are in Christ, and that's when you discover the mantle that He has on your life. And you don't need a title given to you by a human being to walk in that gifting, because people identify you as that. Like,
say that again.
People identify, like Andy, people say it's not, you don't need to be executive pastor of whatever for someone to identify what God placed on your life.
That's right.
Neither do you, Michael. Neither do I.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, because it's like Jody would say to me, well, Mark, you're a pastor. I just see it all in you. Like, I think even when I was an artist, I was a pastor disguised as an artist, because I mean, even the For Him guys would say, got to wait on Mark again, because he's out there. He loves talking to people. And I'm like, finally, I realized, well, it's because I was being Pastor Mark. Didn't even know that. But I kind of have realized, no, that my mantle is the thing that brings me the most fulfillment. And it's like, I don't need anyone to have to show me how to measure that. I just need to know that I'm bringing glory to God. Success should be defined for most of us at our age is calling out the gifts in others, helping a young worship leader stay between the lines and finish strong. Or it should be like when I was young, like you mentioned the word affirmation, I needed affirming. It's the only way I would know that I was getting it right. If I still need affirming by the time I'm 50 or 60 years old, something's wrong with me.
100%.
Like that's become the drug. And so there's a moment when you as a leader have to know, no, I know what I do. I've got the craft part figured out. I need no more affirming. I just need to surrender my gift to the Lord and walk in the mantle that He's placed on my life.
Every time I read through the book of Job, I find myself going, Job's got a point here. His friends, they've got a point here. Actually, I think they're all right. Like every time I read through, I'm like, they've got a really good case here.
Yeah.
And then every time it just nails me when God finally speaks up and says, "And who are you?"
Yeah.
And did you tell the seas where to stop?
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Who are you? And every time it's a humbling experience for me to remind myself, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really in the history of of creation and God's plan. Who am I? I'm just another person saved by the grace of God who he just decided, I'm going to give that guy this talent and I'm going to put him in this position, and that's his assignment.
Yeah.
And one day he'll stand before my son and give an account for everything that I gave him to do. And he's going to call into account those talents that he gave us, and he'll either say, well done, good and faithful servant, enter into your rest, or he'll say, depart from me, wicked and lazy servant, where there's weeping and darkness and weeping and gnashing of teeth. And the older you get, the more you go through, the more you see how success, material success, the success of fame and having your name known and people knowing your music and recognizing you because of your talent or maybe the ministry that you serve in, that means nothing in the end.
Yeah.
All that matters is, did I serve the Lord well in the position that he gave me? And you do this long enough, and none of us at this table are perfect. All of us are still struggling in some form or fashion with that definition of success. But I will tell you, the longer you stay in the game, this is why we tell worship pastors, don't quit.
Yeah.
Because you're closer than you think you are.
Yeah.
And it may even the darkest point in your life as a worship pastor, don't quit.
Don't quit.
Because God has a plan for you.
That's good.
And it's going to be revealed to you what true success is in worship ministry and why he gave you this gift and this calling. Why you just can't run from it.
Yeah.
You can't.
I love that.
Go ahead, throw it away. Try it. Just try it. And God won't let you run.
Yeah.
His seal is forever.
Yeah.
You can try and run, but God's already placed his hand and his seal on you. So, you're just making it harder on yourself by running. Stay in it. And anyway.
Yeah. And don't you think, like, through the years, because I'm the same, like, words of affirmation is a love language for me. Like, it's just, and as you get more and more free, I think, that a sense of any kind of sense of entitlement that like kind of creeps in of like, well, I've done certain things. Like, that's the tendency, I think, for guys that have been in it a long time. Yeah. Is we can kind of feel like a little bit entitled to whatever privilege we have or whatever honor we think should come our way for whatever we've been a part of. And the reality is, anything that's remotely good or any kind of fruit from anything we've ever done, it's all the hand of the Lord. Like, there's no part of me that can take credit for anything that God's allowed me to be a part of. Yeah. And so when you get to that place, like, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this. Maybe you experienced it when, like, there's been times where I've led in certain environments, and you're transitioning away, or you're, and there's something in you. If you do a little bit of a heart audit and a thought audit, if we're honest, we go, they didn't really honor the investment. That blessing that came their way from my leadership, I don't know that they really honored that. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but for me, there have been times where, and it's like, whoa, you see that creep up and you go like, and then I get mad, like, I can't even believe that just bubbled up in my heart. Yeah. Like, I can't believe that. But then it's like, you get victory when you name it. And usually that kind of stuff I would only share, with a trusted, and you put that before the Lord and you get victory and you go, oh man, like, I can move in and out of environments at any given time and bless and keep on blessing. And I don't have to parse it out. I don't have to parse out encouragement. I don't have to parse out joy and leadership and love. I don't have to parse any of that out. It's not transactional. My cup's overflowing. God just keeps pouring it back so I can just be free and not find my reciprocation, not from the people I lead, but from my relationship with Jesus.
Can I give you an example?
Yes.
Of something happened to me. I'm just going to bare my soul here on this. It was just a few months ago at my church, and my title is, I'll put stock in title, senior worship pastor in residence at this point at Church on the Move. And so what am I there for? I'm there to encourage. I'm there to kind of fill in the gaps with the younger worship leaders to help them, on their journey, to give them wisdom, but also to lead our church in worship and be a familiar face on the stage. And I'll never forget our young worship leader, worship pastor Micah, who's 25 years old. We were in rehearsal, and there was this transition moment in worship. I was just like, it's not going to work. And I told him, I said, Michael, I don't think this is going to work. He's like, I really think it is. If you'll hear me out, I have a vision for this. And so we worked out. I'm like, what's the harm? Yeah. It's not what I would have done, but go ahead, do it. And I'll support you for that. Just go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it, and I'll laugh.
So we go through a run-through on Saturday afternoon before the service, and the senior pastor and his exec team is sitting out there. And so we get done with service, and we go out there to, kind of huddle up and talk about it. And sure enough, senior pastor says, I just didn't like that moment. I thought there'd be a better way. And I just, out of my pompousness, said, I told Micah that wasn't going to work. Yeah. I see you nodding your heads going.
I know.
And I looked over and I just saw Micah just defeated.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as those pastors left, he looked at me and went, I thought you had my back. And you talking about crushed.
Oh, wow.
Like crushed. I'm like, man, I still have a lot to learn, even at my age and my experience. I have a lot to learn about encouraging and leading. And I mean, I fell on the sword. Yeah. I'm just like, Micah, I want you to know that's never going to happen again. Wow. That was hubris of me. That was me throwing my weight around to say, see, I still know better than these young guys. And that's one of the gifts that we have to just continue. That's why I say, don't stop. Yeah. I'm still learning.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm still learning how to encourage those that come after me, those that I know are still watching everything that I do. Yeah. And we can't let our foot off the gas of encouragement. I just think that's a lifelong pursuit of dying to self and sticking to what we know is true about our calling is let's continue to lift up the name of Jesus and bring those young men and women with us across the finish line.
Can I say something? Because I think there's a really good teaching point here, Andy, with what you did. Not to you, but
teach away, brother.
But to no. It's
to all of
us. It's the season that we're in right now here at Gateway. I've told our worship pastors, and we've said this a lot. You'll not get in trouble for trying to get outside of the circle, for doing something new. Actually, you'll get in trouble for not trying. Okay? Like we're saying, the only way you'll ever learn is if you try something new, and when you fail, you can learn from it, but you'll grow as a leader. And I look at your young worship leader, and he had to try it to learn.
Right.
And it's like, I would say to young worship leaders, I think part of the challenge and what I would consider success for a young worship leader is learning what it means to lead people in the presence of God. It doesn't have to be perfect. Stay away from performance. Like find that space. And it does mean, I remember, so Matthew, my son, he came on as a worship pastor quite a few years ago at Gateway, straight out of college. And pretty quickly, he was asked to be a campus worship pastor, which he was young. He was pretty much the youngest guy we had. And I didn't ask him to be that. There were other people. It was the campus that said, we want him. And so Matthew, he asked me a question. We were having dinner, and he said, is it okay if I fail? He said, is there space for me not to get it right? And I think that sometimes churches just, that their bar for perfection or for performance is so high that it's like, I would just say this to churches and to anyone that's listening to this. Hey, the only way your young worship leader is ever going to grow and develop muscles that allow he or her to lead people into the presence of God is if there's space to not get it right and learn, because failure can be a beautiful thing. And John Maxwell writes about it, failing forward. But it's like, you can fail, but learn from your failure, because that's how you grow. Yeah. And it's like, and so I would say, success is giving space for failure.
Yeah.
Like in many ways, like if you talk, I mean, that's a different way to look at success, but success is giving, it's because here's the thing. I don't think anybody decided, well, I'm not ever coming back to church on the move because of the way he did that transition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
no one did. It's like, there has to be space. And it's like, and that's the thing, like during the season, I've said, hey, you know what? We used to have 21 minutes of worship or 19. Now we've got 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Go. And some of our worship pastors were like, and leaders were like, I don't know what to do with 30 minutes. And I'm like, have fun figuring that out because you're going to figure that out, but you're going to grow because we're giving you the space. And so, and I said, even if you just have, like you stop and say, hey, you just listen to what the Holy Spirit's saying over your life right now. We're going to stop singing for this next 3 or 4 minutes. I said, that's okay.
Yeah.
Now it was okay here. I'm not saying it's okay
what
at
a
the
gift.
church.
Yeah.
What a gift.
That's a gift.
But it's like, I think when you make room, I think success, there's so many different ways I could define success right now in the season that I'm in. Making room for the Holy Spirit to move during worship is success for me right now.
Okay, so that's super deep. And you just said a few things that I could go in a whole podcast on about 3 different things you just said because it was so good. The development piece, there's a lot of people I'm sure that are watching us that are going like, hey, the Sunday bar is gotten so high via my pastor, my executive pastor. We want this experience to be dialed in.
Yeah.
But we don't have a pathway.
Yeah.
We don't have a place for the reps. We don't have a development, low stakes environment.
Yeah.
So what would you guys say to the high output experience stages that want a pipeline, they want a development path? How do we lean into making space for low risk reps?
Andy, answer that because you travel and do a lot.
That's the question I get asked a lot is how do we get better and how do we find more people? You know, how do we develop a pipeline so that we're not having to go outside of our church to find musicians?
Yeah, we're raising them up.
Raising them up. Yeah. Well, culture is number one. I mean, you got to have a culture of what is worship. If you don't have a worship cultural statement for your church, you need one.
Yeah.
Because until you pull it apart, you don't know what pieces you have. What's important in worship? Is it joy? Is it excellence? Is it the move of the Holy Spirit? Is it is it free form? Is it structured? What are those things? Is it preaching the gospel?
Yeah.
Find those things first because all you're doing is putting Band-Aids on things that aren't going to heal.
Yeah.
And if you're just trying to get more people in and just get better at what you do. There's an old adage that says there are 2 ways to make something better: time and money. Right? And most churches don't have the money or won't spend the money or can't do it long term to make things better. What's the other option? What's time? And worship pastors, this is your job.
Yeah.
Right? This is your job is to find musicians, to pour into them and then give them opportunities. So how do you start that? Well, you start with a cultural assessment of who you are.
Yeah.
Start with that. And that, I mean, that's going to take some time and that's okay. And then after that, now you've got to put some steps in place, which is you got to get the wrong people off the team and get the right people on the team that match your cultural environment and where you want to go culturally. Yep. And honestly, you got to play the long game. To me, it's about if you get the right people with the right culture on stage, then they attract the people who need to be with you. So that's the first step of building a pipeline is getting your culture right. Otherwise, you're just making the same mistake person after person after person.
Yeah.
Now, opportunities. Like I told the same worship pastor Micah. He used to be the youth worship pastor for our church, and his band was amazing, and they would rehearse a ton. But it's a lot of the same guys that were playing on the weekend.
Oh wow!
And I was like, first of all, let me just say this with all love and respect: your worship band's too good. Your youth worship team is too good. These kids don't care. They don't care if everything is perfect and it sounds amazing. They're just glad to get together and sing these songs and have a great time. So let's graduate these people that you've got on your youth worship team up into maybe, and we open a young adult service where now those people started to migrate into to play for that young adult service. We started opening kids live music at kids environment. We started pushing the opportunity for live music in different environments where there's only tracks being played.
Wow.
Again, kids worship. My daughter leads at one of the leads kids worship at one of the Belonging Co campuses in Nashville, and the kids don't care. They just want to jump up and down, and they want to sing and stay engaged, and they want them to have something that they can repeat. Right? It doesn't have to be awesome. Just get people in there and get them some experience, and then what we started to do was just flood that youth band with teenagers. Get them in there now. Get them now. What are you doing? You're preaching culture first.
Yeah.
Not necessarily music. You're preaching culture. This is who we are. This is what we do. And then that's how you just very slowly start to build that culture and move people around, start graduating them up. And that's how you develop a pipeline.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but
it's not. And sometimes we have to create, like if the church you're in has a particular rhythm of meeting and a rhythm of ministries, then you have to find ways of like creating lab opportunities where reps can be low risk and then they can be evaluated reps. And so that
like
could
at the
be
youth
internal.
Service, at the young adult service,
Young
at the
adults,
kids service.
it could be a choir ministry. It could be a songwriter night, an internal worship night. I've watched Christ Fellowship do this for years where they create, they have a staff chapel that they have regularly. And in that staff chapel, they're bringing in lots of different worship practitioners to lead the staff. It's a safe place that's building team and building. I think just being mindful of those spaces.
Creating go teams at Go To. We created that, putting small teams of musicians together, go to homeless shelters and go to food centers and that we had relationship with that we were allowed to go in and set up a little acoustic band and have singers that, could get some reps in front of people and do it because this is what they just want to sing, and they're not quite good enough to get on the main stage yet. But it's a great place for them to go and get reps.
Well, and the thing too, it's like, when you talk about just leading worship and being a part of the team and being good at your craft, it's like, I love working on not just the craft, but also the character and the heart behind it. And it's like, and when you talk about, I remember the story of, so we have the Spanish artist here, that's the three brothers, and it's Neale and Marcos, and they're from Guatemala. Their dad was a pastor. And so, and they're huge. I mean, they're very famous, like Spanish Christian artists, like they're amazing. And the thing is they said, they said, when we were young, our dad used to say, you can't sing on Sunday if you don't go to the park outside and sing about Jesus on Saturday. And so they would set up their gear and sing in the park to just the public on Saturday.
Wow.
And that's because what I realized is the dad was saying, I want your heart. I want your heart developed. Like this will help develop your skill, but it will also help develop your heart.
That is so
good. And
I
think that, it's just a fascinating thing. Guys, this has been a great conversation. I mean, we could go. This is one of those
we could go.
That could just it could be like it could be tagging into the next podcast, and then all of a sudden we would end up with a 4-hour podcast on this because this is something that I think we can shape this in a different way and even talk about some of this on another podcast.
Well, and I think this is the heart of the worship table.
Yeah,
is not so much how do you do worship, but it's why.
Why?
What is success? Asking those questions like. What keeps you in the game? Why should you stay in the game?
Yeah.
Why should you be passing down leadership to the next generation without bolting through the back door?
Sure.
Because you don't feel like you're useful anymore.
Yeah.
And
these kind of questions, if you want to have deeper questions, like if you're engaging this podcast and you get into the Worship Table online community, like we're interacting in that space. And we can kind of engage those conversations and connect you with other guys. You need to talk to this person because they've done this really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about, bringing that community together.
We're going to tell you when we've blown it, and what we did to correct it and how it shaped us and how we move forward from that.
We'll tell you where we are still blowing it. Yeah. We're not when we blew it, but
well, speak for yourself, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Perfect. I know you're not. God bless, guys. This has been fun.
It's fun. Yeah. See ya.